respected subject matter expert, trainer, and a speaker. She is experienced professional trainer, strategic planning facilitator with over 25 years of dedicated service to small business and non-profit organization across the US. She has proven track records in leadership, communication, customer service, sales, strategic planning. So please welcome Diane Helbig, founder and CEO of Helbig Enterprises. I will hand over to Diane Helbig. Diane, you can take it up from here.
Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. I am so thrilled to be spending this time with you. We are going to be doing a lot, so we're going to jump right in. Okay, you know about me. We already did that. Let's talk about our agenda. We're going to talk about what customer service really is and why it matters. We're going to do some exercises, and we're going to talk about communication skills, where we're going to do some exercises. Those include listening skills. Then we're going to get to what are some of these tactics, these customer service tactics that we can use. Then we'll open it up for questions. We will be going out to a site that I use called Mentimeter. You will see there'll be a screen, a slide for you to either, you'll do it on your phone or another browser where you'll be able to participate in some exercises. I do also want to share some of my rules of engagement. They go like this. This is a no judgment zone. It's a safe space where we can talk about what's really going on because it's the only way that we get to solutions. This is participatory. The more you participate, the better it's going to be. The less you participate, it's going to be long and painful. And you will need your phone or another browser, as I said, because we will be going out to Mentimeter. And, if anything comes up, you can use chat, you can use Q&A. We will get you taken care of. I need to fix this just a little bit. So without further ado, let's get moving. So what really is customer service? We've used this term for decades. And in truth, from the customer's perspective, it's about experience. So when we think of customer service, we think of walking into a store or getting on the phone and going and talking to someone who that's their job. Their job is customer service. And you're going to tell them whatever's going on and they're going to help you with whatever that is. But anymore, it's so much more than that. It's every experience that an individual has with your organization. So, and everyone in your organization participates in customer service because some of that is internal. There are situations where one department serves another department, and then that department serves another department. That is true in every organization where technically there's more than one person working there. It is about the experience that they have with each other. It's about the communication that they have and the understanding. And then when we go out to external, it's the experience that customers, residents, employees, future employees, doesn't matter. I mean, you name the person, suppliers, everyone it's the experience that they are having with your organization. It matters because they are gauging your value, your professionalism, and your ability to serve based on those experiences. So we want to be sure that we're keeping that in mind when we consider this whole idea of customer service. Oftentimes, organizations create strategies to better serve people, but they do it from their internal lens. So they're doing it with a view toward, we think this is what will be good for others who are dealing with us, and it will be good for us. Sometimes it's because it's expedient. This will keep us efficient and effective and all of that. we want to make sure that we are that we're looking at those initiatives and those systems from the outside in as well, to make sure that we aren't dropping the ball somewhere with our customers. So today, when we talk about this and we talk about customer experience, we're going to explore a lot about communication, because many times that's what it comes down to. It's how are we engaging with our customers? Our, and anyone is a customer client who is interacting with us, outside in or inside in. Okay. So what I would like you to do, because we're going to jump right into these exercises, is I would like you to go to menti.com. You can see it on your screen. And when you get there, it's going to ask you for a 4-digit code. I'm going to go out to it, and you're going to see that that code is on every slide that we're going to be using, every exercise. But for right now, you can use the QR code, or you can go to menti.com and enter the code 22175915. It will tell you that it is waiting for the presenter, because that's me, and I got to go out there. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute. I am going to head on out, and you should be seeing a question about a customer service challenge. So it's an open-ended question. What I would like you to share is an experience that you have had either providing customer service or experiencing customer service. And listen, it can be a good experience, it can be a bad experience, but what was that like? How did it make you feel? Was it, knocked it out of the park, or was it not so great, and why that is? So I'm going to give you a hot minute to write that in there, and I'll keep checking back with Zoom to make sure no one's having any issues. Let's see what you got. And if you've gotten to menti.com without any problems, if you could thumbs up, if you could hit the thumbs up, so I know you're there, that would be really great. Give you a minute and we will see what kind of challenges.
Okay, so we have to go on menti.com, right?
Pardon me?
I'm saying, like, you ask us to visit menti.com, right?
To share a customer service experience that you've had in Menti.
Okay.
So, and I can, give examples like, I actually called an organization that I had been doing business with, and I wasn't very happy. And I was, trying, of course, to be calm. And the person that I got on the phone was so great that my temperature went way down, right? So I ended up listening and thanking them for, even though they ultimately could not help me solve the problem. It was, we tried every single way possible and could not get it done. I was still really grateful for how they managed that conversation. So that's a good experience. Even though I didn't get to resolution, I still felt good about it. And that can happen because it's about the experience. It's about how the conversation goes. So it's that kind of thing. Or, a not so great customer service experience is that you have to call an organization and you can't get a human. And the auto attendant that says it can understand full sentences cannot understand what it is that you are dealing with. And so it is so frustrating, and all you want is a person and you can't get one. That is not so great. So because it's frustrating, because it's you can't even get past go in order to be able to get any sort of, even if it's not resolution, like the first example that I gave. So, um, you know, it's it's what is, well, what are the things that are challenging when it comes to customer service, either as the giver of customer service or the receiver, um, or what's really great about experiences? I mean, the good news is that we've had good experiences. Um, the bad news is that we've also had some that are not terribly wonderful. So, okay, great. So we have one here, not being able to get a human. Um, great. That is, it's something I was just talking about. That is challenging. What other sorts of things? Kindness, yeah. Understanding, right? When someone is understanding, they're not even necessarily agreeing with us. It's really helpful. So, okay, we will move on from this. Um, let's see. So now the question is, what do you think customers need? So, uh, I think there's one really big thing that customers need, and there's a lot of aspects to it, but I'm curious what you think. So if you can put it in there, um, that would be awesome. Let's see what you come up with. I'm going to give you a couple seconds really to be able to type. You should be able to, this is going to be like a word cloud, so you should be able to put in like three things. Um, let's see what you come up with. Let's see what you got. Okay, these are great. Absolutely. That's now it's interesting because are those needs or are those wants, right? Uh, I don't know. So let's see. So what do you think customers want? Let's see what you got. Once again, give you a couple of seconds to be able to type that up. Um, see what you come up with. Okay. To be heard. Right. I will say that I think the thing that customers want more than anything is to feel like they're being heard. So I mentioned the situation I had where they couldn't even resolve the situation, but I felt like I was being heard. So I didn't feel like they were reading off a script. I didn't feel like they were going through the motions. I really felt like they heard me, and that made all the difference. So I would say the big thing that people want when they are engaging with you, once again, internally and externally, is to feel like they are being heard. Now, here's a tricky question. What do you think are possible reasons why customers show up the way they do? So think about, how you engage when you are working with a customer service rep and think about how you've seen people engage, or if you are in customer service, how you've been engaged with, and why do you think people show up the way they do? Once again, you should be able to put in a couple words. They do not care. Okay. Um, what else have we got? Frustration, fear, anger. Okay. It could be something totally unrelated to the reason that they are engaging with you. They could have something going on in their world that is awful. And especially like with internal customer service, right? They could be having a terrible day. Something could have happened the day before. After they left work, they've shown up in the morning, they're still dealing with it, they're still feeling it. And so they are just showing up in a way that is really unpleasant. The truth is, we have no idea why people show up the way they do. What we have to do is make sure that we don't react to the way they're showing up. We have to keep our cool. We have to not engage with the frustration, with the anger, with the not caring, whatever it is. We just have to, maintain a certain level of engagement. All right, now I want to move on to this is more along the communication line. We're going to start getting into communication, and I'm curious about what you think is the best phrase here. We've got, I don't know, that's a good question, or I'll find out. What do you think is the best phrase? Okay. Yes, I'll find out. So it is insufficient to say, I don't know about anything. You may not know. Okay. It's also insufficient to say, well, that's a good question, because that's not helpful. Remember, people really, they want to be heard. So when they're asking a question about something, the best thing that we can do is just say, hey, you know what? I'll find out. Let me find out what's going on here. So, exactly. Now, here's the next one. That's not my department. Here's what I can do. I can't. Which one do you think is the best answer? Exactly. So let's say someone's got an issue that really is not your department, that is not something that you can solve. We don't say, I can't. We don't say, hey, that's not my department. What we say is, here's what I can do about this thing, whatever it is. And what it's going to be is going to whoever can help with that and getting them looped in. So we're being totally transparent. This is not something I can solve for you, but here's what I can do, and here's what I'm going to do. So, absolutely. Here's another one. I don't know how to help you. You're wrong. Here's what you may not know about this situation, whatever it is. Which one do you think is, I sort of gave it away, but which one do you think is the best? Yes, here's what you may not know about this. So, once again, people come to every situation with whatever is going on with them, whatever baggage they carry throughout life, and whatever their knowledge level is or their belief system is. And it's our job to help them learn about a situation. So if they come at us and they want something and it's not something we can do, it's unreasonable, whatever it is, we can't just, okay, well, no. Or, I don't know how to help you. We have to be able to say, okay, here's what's going on. Here's what's happening. When we give information, when we share and explain, then it helps them see more of this situation than they were seeing before, right? That they were not seeing it. So that's part of our job. Okay, and I think this is the last one. The best option for handling this is we're limited in what we can do about this. The only thing we can do is, which do you think is the best? These are pretty close. So which do you think of these as the best? That is right. The best option for handling this is, right? Because we don't want them to get into this headspace of, limited thinking and like we're being rigid. What we want to do is position it with this is best, this is the solution that is there. And we can continue to have that conversation, but that is really where that's at. So excellent. This is wonderful. I am going to start sharing my screen again, and we will continue on, but very, very good. Okay, now, next slide. Okay, so we're going to stay with the phrasing because a lot of times that's what gets us either stuck or ending up, someone can get more elevated or we can calm them down. So there are certain phrases that work really well. And we have some of them here and we're going to talk about them a little bit. So one of them is help me understand, right? I want to learn as much as possible about what's going on because I want to make sure I'm hearing everything. So when we remember that what customers want is they want to be heard, if I can say, help me understand what's happening here, help me understand how you're feeling, whatever that fill in the blank is, and we listen, they're going to tell us. And there's a key to this that's not on here that I want to share, and that is when they're done, and they're all done, doesn't matter how they communicate, they can be yelling, they can be doing whatever. When they're done, when they take a breath, say, is there anything more you'd like to share? Give them an opportunity to, because have you ever been in that situation where you're really upset and so you just start going off, and then once you get it all out and you start calming down, you remember, or you can speak more calmly about whatever it is. We want to give them that opportunity. You want to hear it all. You can say, tell me more, but you can phrase it however. Then we want to make sure that we are acknowledging. Okay. So I hear you. And after that, and it can be, let's talk about what we can do about this, or let's talk about what next steps are, or, and I need to do some research, whatever that is after the and. Another tremendously valuable phrase is thank you for sharing. Now imagine if you were upset about something and you called and you went off, and what they said was, thank you for sharing. I appreciate hearing about what's going on. It sets you back. So you're like, thank you for sharing. I just, was yelling at you. It's being acknowledged, it's being heard. Okay. You can get confirmation with if someone isn't really railing, but it seems like that you can say it appears you're unhappy with our service, or it appears you're unhappy with our product, or appears you're unhappy with this situation. Okay, that's sort of reflecting back to them what you're hearing. The next three are really valuable if no matter what you're offering as a solution or a next step, if they're not taking it. If it's no, that's not good enough. If it's whatever it is, if they're not grasping onto what you're saying and what you're offering, you can say one of these three, which is one is, how can we resolve this? Because you need to hear from them. What are they thinking is the solution? You may not be able to do it, but you need to hear it. You can say, what does the solution look like for you? And let them tell you, because it may be something you hadn't thought of. It also gives them an opportunity to take a breath and say to themselves, okay, well, they're saying to themselves, in an ideal world, this, but I get it that you probably can't do that. And then maybe you meet in the middle, right? And you can also ask, how do we move forward? You got to get them off of the, that nothing is good, that nothing is going to solve it. Something has to happen. So these are opportunities to get people to think a little differently about the situation without being difficult with them, right? That's the tricky part. We can't get upset with them. We have to be able to ask these questions in a genuine, caring sort of way. Okay. Now, let's talk about listening. So listening is critical. So we all said people want to be heard. Absolutely right. It's our job to make sure they're feeling heard. Well, the first step to that is actually listening to them. And it's listening to learn, period. Not so there are three types of listening, really, when you boil it all down. The first one is active listening. Active listening is the most difficult kind of listening. It's also the most valuable and important, best kind of listening. It is so hard, especially these days. But it is, I am looking you in the eye. I am present. I am not thinking about anything else. I'm not paying attention to anything else. I am really actively interested in what it is you are telling me. All right. Then there's distracted listening, and distracted listening is what most of us do most of the time. And there's the potential that you're doing it right now. And that's because there are so many distractions. There's our email, there's our cell phone, their kids, dog, weather, TV, issues, problems, coworkers, fill in the blank. There are a lot of distractions out there that are vying for our attention and our time. And so most of us listen sort of. The problem with distracted listening is, a lot of things. One, we are not really hearing the other person. We're sort of surface hearing, but we're not depth hearing. And we're missing clues and signals because our attention is someplace else. There is no such thing as multitasking. You can't be paying attention to two things at once and pay attention to either of them well. You can pay attention to both of them poorly, sure. But when we're dealing with a customer experience, internally or externally, we want to make sure that's a great experience. And the only way it's going to be a great experience is if we are actively listening. Okay. The third type of listening is biased listening. And in my estimation, this is the most dangerous kind of listening there is. And biased listening is believing that you already know what the other person's going to say, where they're coming from, what they want, what they believe. So you are listening with that ear instead of listening totally open with, I want to learn. And the problem with biased listening is when we listen with this idea in our head that we already know how the conversation is going to go, A, we aren't really listening, and B, we can end up creating the conversation that we thought we were going to have. And then it's on us. We're not having a totally open, true conversation. We're influencing how that conversation goes because we show up with that expectation. So our tension is there. Our voice is a little different. Sometimes our body language is tight. And they pick up on that. They may be in that same position where they're entering the conversation thinking they know how it's going to go. So they're, poised and ready to go. And we need to get them to listen actively. So we have to show up totally open, actively listening, wanting to, putting everything else away. This is what you do. You put your phone in another room if you have to, or turn it off. You close your email. You make sure all distractions are gone, and you focus. And you think to yourself, what can I learn in this conversation? So you set yourself up for, I want to learn, not, I already know what's going on here. I just need to get them to that point where they stop talking. Difference. And if you feel yourself starting to go in that direction, or you feel yourself starting to get distracted, you bring yourself back to center, because it's going to happen. There's a good chance it's going to happen the longer the conversation goes. Just bring yourself back to center. And if you don't think you can, if there's something that's really on your mind, especially with internal customer service, tell them. Say, I really want to have this conversation with you. I've got this other thing so strongly on my mind that I cannot focus right now. Can we schedule this conversation for another time? Let me go deal with that. Let me get it solved. And then let's come back and let's have a conversation where I can give you my undivided attention. If anyone has ever had a situation where when you were a kid, you felt like your parents weren't listening to you because they weren't, and how that felt, you don't want to be doing that with other people. So your parents had a lot going on. They had a lot of stuff on their mind. And so, they sort of act like they're listening. We all know, we all feel it. Remember that feeling. Because what we want to do is we want to be the ones who are truly, genuinely listening, undivided attention. I care. I want to hear. I want to learn. And then I want to help solve if I can. And if I can't, I want to help get you where you can get that help if it's possible. And if it's not possible, we're going to have that conversation too. It's the integrity and the honesty and the really listening in order to be able to reflect back and acknowledge. That makes all the difference with folks. So we want to make sure we're actively listening. We don't want to be biased listening. And we want to remember there's the potential that they are coming at us from a biased listening standpoint, where they think they already know how the conversation's going to go. And we don't want to engage in distracted listening. Trust me when I tell you it does not work. It doesn't work. I don't really have to tell you that. It's dangerous and it's disrespectful. And one of the biggest parts of customer experience, we said, what do they want? They want to be heard, because that's respectful. We indicate that we care about them and we respect them when we're really listening to them. Okay. So let's talk about these tactics that we're thinking about. The first one is lead with empathy. Now, empathy isn't sympathy. When we are empathetic, we don't have to ever have experienced what they're experiencing to acknowledge that they are experiencing it, that for them, it is a thing. And so when we listen, we can say things like, wow, that sounds really frustrating. Or what I think I'm hearing is, this is upsetting you. We are empathizing with them. We're not agreeing with them. We're acknowledging that they are experiencing something that is not good. Okay? The second tactic is ask and listen. And this is where we are listening to learn, not listening to respond. That's what we mean. You ask the question, you get quiet, take notes. You may have another question that comes up based on what they're telling you. That's great. Get to as much information as you possibly can from them. Third, don't make assumptions. Don't assume you know what they're upset about. Don't assume you know what a solution would be for them. Don't assume you know what they really care about, or what they're wanting. No assumptions that they're just a curmudgeon or they're being difficult. No assumptions. Okay. You have to come at this blank slate, even if it's someone you've dealt with before. And I know this can be hard, especially with internal customer service. It can be hard if you've got a department that you need things from and you don't feel like you're getting them and you're having trouble having that conversation. It can be really easy to make all sorts of assumptions. They want that, that the leader of that department wants me to fail. They're uncooperative. They don't understand. Those are all assumptions, because the truth is, until you actually have those conversations and get about the thing that you need and why you need it and how you can come together, you don't know. Let's be honest. You have no idea where someone's coming from. And I'm not saying that you're going to be wrong when you make assumptions. You might be right, but it's not going to matter, because it's going to show up as being accusatory. It has no place, right? If you're going to make assumptions, assume the good. Assume that they don't realize how, their actions are impacting you, or their decisions or non-decisions or whatever it is. Assume the good, because then you'll enter the conversation from that perspective. I mentioned, a minute ago about acknowledge, right? Acknowledge not just what you heard, but the situation. Acknowledge the other person for showing up, right? Acknowledge that there's something here that needs resolution. It goes a long way toward the person feeling like they're being heard and not dismissed. And then there's accountability, and accountability is a huge part of customer service, customer experience. And what I mean by accountability is when you are the one having the conversation, receiving the email, whatever it is, that there is a situation or whatever it is that you have a responsibility to provide a certain level of experience, it's yours until it's resolved. So for example, before, when we were doing the questions and there was I can't help you, here's what I can do, and whatever the last one was, here's what I can do is owning the situation, whether it's something that you can deal with or not, but making sure that it gets handled. It's called owning the call. You can't just take it and push it and then you're out. You gotta full circle. You gotta make sure that it's handled, that the person is called, that the situation is dealt with. Okay? Because otherwise, there's an opportunity that it's going to fall down and you're going to be the one who's going to be blamed for it. And you don't want that. You can't push responsibility off on other people. The other part of accountability is co-creating a solution. So when there are situations where, maybe there's going to have to be a compromise. Maybe, the customer's not going to be able to get everything they want. Working with them on, so here's what we can do. Let's talk about how we together can come up with the best solution for you. The same is true internally with internal customer service. If there's a struggle between departments, you're not getting what you need from them or they're not getting what they need from you, working together to create the solution is how the solution actually happens and both parties are happy. If only one person is saying, well, here's what we're going to do, the odds of the other party opting in are pretty slim, because they don't have any buy-in. They have no skin in the game because they haven't been part of the solution. So they can feel like they're just being told this is how it's going to happen. Okay, well, no. And then we're going to wonder why they didn't follow through or why they weren't satisfied. Let's get them involved in the solution. Now, this isn't going to be every time. A lot of this is situation dependent. You have to determine what is going on here, what's the situation, what can we do about it? Remember, everyone in the organization is engaged in customer experience. So what can we as an organization do to resolve whatever this thing is or improve on the experiences our customers are having? It may mean, having listening sessions to find out what's working, what isn't working. How will we know when it's working? Is it that silence is confirmation? Or are our customers going to tell us things? There's a lot involved really in customer service when we think about it in terms of customer experience. And when we want the customer experience to be the best ever, that's how we approach it. And that's what our thought process is, right? That's our perspective. So every situation that we're dealing with, good or bad, we're looking at it in terms of, okay, this is their experience. I hear them. I wish this wasn't their experience, or yay, this is their experience. How do we duplicate it? So we have good. Let's make sure we continue doing things that way and that we can duplicate it. Over here, needs some work. What do we do about it? What are their thoughts? Sometimes your customers have really good ideas on little things that you could do differently that would make a huge difference. And you're just not seeing it because you're not sitting on their side of the table. So when we're listening and we're asking, it's not just, so what's the situation? It's, what are your thoughts? What would work for you? All sorts of ways that we can get down to what creates the best possible customer experience. And then what we have to remember is things change, times change, customers change. And so what works right now may not work in the future. And any of us who are dealing with these different generations know exactly what I'm talking about. I hear it all the time. These younger generations, they don't care about X, Y, and Z. They don't operate this way. Okay. We got to know what matters to them, what they want, what good customer experience looks like for them, because it's going to be different potentially from what, a baby boomer wants. We have to be able to remember that we set a system in place. It may have to be adjusted as time goes on, that in business, nothing is ever constant. Nothing is static. It's changing every day. Change is inevitable, and we have to be paying attention to that and not get so locked in and so rigid that we aren't paying attention to the changing winds, because we're going to get left behind if we don't pay attention. Okay, now the fun part. Questions. Does anyone have any questions about anything we've talked about or anything I haven't talked about that, you want to put on the table?
Thank you, Dan, for the great presentation and your valuable information. Now I request to the audience, please pop in your questions. If you have any question, please feel free to ask. Our instructor, Dan, will answer all your questions. Dan,
Yes.
let me see if we got any question. No questions yet. Okay, we will give some more time. Let us know if anyone have any question.
Hi,
Remember, there
Radhvir.
are no bad questions.
Hi, Radhvir. I have question. Hi, Diana. This is me, Anu. So I have a question.
Sure.
First of all, thank you very much for delivering this insightful session. So my question is, Working in a customer service role is not an easy task, and I think customer service professionals are always expected to remain calm in all situations. They are supposed to listen all all customer patiently and handle every situations, no matter how difficult, without showing frustration. So, my question is, what happened when a customer service representative feel frustrated after constantly dealing with complaints, negative feedback, or even yelling from the customers? In that case, how a customer service person will handle themselves?
Yeah, that is a great question. Um, this is a place where I think,
Because after all, they are also human being.
well, yeah. So, the customer service person, there's a couple of things here. Number one, you have to remember that this isn't about you. They're not, it's not about you, right? It's hard to take that and hear it, but we have to remember, okay, they're venting, right?
Yes.
They're and I'm a wall, and they're just getting it all out. So the customer service person, in my opinion, needs to breathe, count to 10, and remain as calm as they possibly can and let the person just go. And then when they stop, say, is there anything more you'd like to share? Thank you. Is there anything more you'd like to share? And then if they do, great. And if they say no, then say, okay, so let's talk about, you can say to someone, can we lower the temperature and really talk about this so we can see what we can do to get it resolved. Okay?
Okay.
Because the person needs to bring it down. Now, let me say this. If the person is not going to bring down the temperature, if they're just going to yell, if they're just going to, listen, I think a couple of things. One, I think the customer service person should be able to escalate it to a supervisor.
Mhm.
And the supervisor can say to the person, okay, we can't help you if you're going to stay at this level. Our people, do not deserve to be spoken to that way. That's a supervisor's job, to stick up for their people and to say, this isn't getting you anywhere. How about you call back when you're calmer? Or we can call you later today when you've had a chance to calm down. We want to help you solve this problem, but this isn't going to cut it. Okay?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, this makes sense. What I understood, like we have to handle these situations with some tactful greetings, right? Am I right?
Yes.
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 In every situations we have to be calm as a customer service professional and handle customers, right?
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Got you. Thanks.
And if they're completely unreasonable, like I just then go to the extreme of, if they're completely unreasonable and they're not going to get reasonable, the customer service person just needs to say, I'm going to put you on hold to get you someone who can help you, and then needs to give it to their superior and say, I can't, this guy just no. And escalate it up the chain, because no one, it doesn't solve anything, right? And the customers decided that they're just going to be angry. Well,
Yes, yes, yes.
yeah.
Thanks, thanks. Rajbir,
Yep.
we have a question. You can go ahead.
All right. I think we are done now with the questions. If anyone have any question, you can reach us on the email. We will
Rajbir,
reach you back
sorry,
with
Rajbir. We have a question in the chat. Can you please check?
What is
We
it?
have, yeah, we
yes.
have a question in the chat. What is the best way to deal with internal customer who have gone ahead to partner with one's boss to stay in one's performance metrics? It is in the chat by Dave. We have a
Okay,
question in chat. Yes.
that's what we're doing with it. Oh, yeah, boy. Well, so here's my belief. So if I'm reading this right, let me just make sure I'm understanding this. If I'm reading this right, there's someone else in the organization who you should be able to work with, who has gone over you to your boss and is negatively impacting your performance metrics. They're either saying that they're either disparaging you or, okay, I think what you need to do is go to your boss. So you can go to, if you can prove that that's what this person is doing, you can go to the person and say, could you help me understand what's happening here? Don't say you, okay? You can go to them and you can say, can we have a conversation? Can you help me understand what's happening here? Because this is how it appears to me, right? This is what I see happening. And I would like, and I don't understand why, what's going on. Is there something I'm not doing? Is there something I've done? Is there something we could do to resolve this so we are working together better and see what they say. The other thing you may not get any traction there. The other thing you can do is you can go to your boss and you can say, it seems to me that, or what I'm experiencing is person X has been working with you instead of coming directly to me. And I'm getting the impression that either they don't think I can do my job or you don't think I'm doing my job. And I just want to know where we're at. Okay. Now, if it's your boss coming to you and saying, you're not doing X, Y, Z, so-and-so's is coming to me because they're not getting anywhere with you, then you can say to your boss, okay, hang on a second. Person A hasn't come to me to talk to me about this. Do you think the three of us could sit down and have a conversation and come up with a game plan for how we can fix this? Because, person A, I had an experience when I was very new in business where there were my boss and another person were bad rapping me to her boss. And he didn't come to me and say, this is what I'm hearing. He just started treating me badly. And I was young. And I went to him and I said, I'm getting the feeling that you're not happy with my performance. Because I had no idea what was going on. And he said, you're right, I'm not. And I said, okay, could you tell me why? And he told me all these things that they had been telling him, and none of them were true. And so I said to him, well, none of that's true. Let me tell you what I've done. Let me tell you the ideas that I've come up with. Let me tell you what's been happening here. And I got an opportunity to tell him, all of these things. He made the decision to put me under him. He said, from this moment forward, you work for me. So I can see if what you're telling me is true. Because I think he could tell by the way that I was communicating that I was telling him the truth. He ended up being the best boss I ever had. To this day, he was instrumental in me growing and learning in a leadership position. He had great confidence in me. I knew he did. I knew when to go to him with questions. Just unbelievable. But it's because I was willing to, stand on that hill and go to him and say, okay, what's going on? So people who work in the shadows and are subversive, for lack of a better word, don't like sunshine. But as they say, sunlight's the best disinfectant. So, I don't know if that helps, Deb. Let me say this. I would imagine if it's a particular situation, you can connect with me on LinkedIn and you can tell me really what's going on and I can help you. But hopefully that gives you some sort of guidance because, it's hard, is this person, what's actually going on? So hopefully that helped. Other questions? That was a good one.
I think we are done up with the questions. If anyone have any question, you can reach us on the email. We will reach you back with all the details. Thank you, Dan. We have done up with the questions. Thank you again for your time today. We have a special offer running on our programs, IT trainings. If anyone is interested, you can reach us on the email. I will help you up with complete information. If in case you have any friend or colleague looking for the training, you can also suggest them. I have also added my LinkedIn profile and company details. If anyone want to know more, can connect with me directly. So when it comes on upskilling and reskilling, CCS Learning Academy is designed to be your organization's secret weapon. Our network of talented and professional training instructors are ready and waiting to work directly with you and your team. If you are new to IT or seasoned professional, we offer a wide range of courses for your needs. If you need more information, please contact us. On behalf of CCS and our instructor, Dan, we would like to thank you for your attention on this important training session today. Hope you enjoyed the session. Looking forward to you all for joining our future webinars. Stay safe out there. Thank you.